Cairo never sleeps. Not ever. It's a city that breathes dust, exhaust fumes, and prayer, where night is not so different from day because headlights, neon, and the glow of ovens never switch off. From a distance, it looks like an ocean of buildings that has spilled out over the desert and soaked up every last grain of sand. Up close, it is a labyrinth where you can lose yourself and find yourself again in the same afternoon. Between thousands of rooftops, satellite dishes stand like modern minarets, and beside pyramids from the time of the pharaohs rise gray high-rises with unfinished floors that have been waiting for plaster, for a loan, for a miracle, for decades. Cairo doesn't know the phrase construction complete. Here everything is in progress, but nothing is ever finished. On the streets, old cars mix with new SUVs, rickshaws, donkey carts, and silent NIO electric cars that glide over the asphalt as if they don't belong to this world at all. Next to them, a man on a donkey hauls a cart loaded with gas cylinders, and a woman in a black abaya sells bread from a small handcart. It's a city of contrasts so sharp they almost hurt. In Zamalek, the district of the wealthy, mornings start with cappuccino and talk of the stock market, and evenings end with wine imported from France. At the very same time, on the other side of the Nile in Menchiat Nasser, children sort garbage and learn to tell plastic from copper. In one place, the air smells of Dior perfume, in another of smoke and overheated metal. Between those worlds lies a third Cairene kingdom, the city of the dead. Where there weren't enough apartments, people moved into tombs. At night, they light candles and brew tea on gas burners, sitting next to headstones that are hundreds of years old. Every family has a key to its grave, because otherwise someone else could simply move in. Cairo is a living organism, vast, hot, chaotic, with a heart that beats in an uneven rhythm. Every breath it takes is a cloud of dust that rises above the rooftops and dissolves into the sun. A city that remembers its gold but lives on plastic. A city that doesn't know how to stop because if it did, it would have to look in the mirror. In one frame, you see electric cars parked outside hotels and air-conditioned startups. In the next, tombs turned into homes and children sleeping among trash. In the third, hundreds of tons of waste arriving every day in trucks to be sorted, melted down, and sold by people using nothing but their hands. Cairo breathes garbage but never loses its rhythm. Poverty hasn't killed life here. It has only changed its color and its smell. Between minarets and antennas, between luxury and despair, Cairo endures. It knows no other way to exist. It is a city that lives off what others throw away, and that, strangely enough, is its strength. Cairo. A city that still smells of sun, dust, and history. As your plane comes into land, the first thing you see is an endless sea of brick. Red, brown, and sand-colored buildings stretching to the horizon like someone spilled a bag of city and let it spread in all directions. Winding through it all is the Nile, the only thing in this chaos that continues calmly on its way. On its banks, history meets the present. Where pharaohs once stood, now there are billboards advertising Chinese smartphones. In Cairo, time doesn't flow. It accumulates. Every era leaves a trace. Right next to the pyramids stand concrete apartment blocks pretending to be modern, with crooked windows and unfinished floors. Laundry hangs from balconies, and next to satellite dishes lie old tires. Every building is a story about a family, alone, survival. In the city center, where colonizers once stood, there are now banks, embassies, and travel agencies. The streets are narrow and crowded, as if they lack enough air. From mosque loudspeakers flows the call to prayer, drowned out by car horns. The crowd moves like a river. Vendors, office workers, children with backpacks, tourists with cameras, tea sellers, men with cardboard boxes, women in black abayas and bright headscarves. Everyone is going somewhere. No one stands still. Cairo doesn't know silence. Even at night, something is happening. Someone is fixing an engine. Someone is charging a phone from an extension cable hanging out a window. Someone is singing by a fire. Someone is playing a drum. Someone is selling falafel at 3 in the morning. The city runs 24 hours a day, as if it were afraid that if it slept, it would cease to exist. And yet in all this chaos, there is order, its own order, incomprehensible to outsiders. Here, rhythm rules, the rhythm of prayer, of work, of trade, of sun and dust. A rhythm you can't analyze, you have to feel it. Cairo isn't a city you visit. It's a city you endure. The air is thick with exhaust, spices, and hot metal. On the hottest days, the asphalt softens and the air shimmers. In taxis, the radio plays melodies from the 1970s, while drivers steer without really looking ahead, eyes fixed on their passenger or on the side of the road. Everybody argues, but nobody seems truly angry. It's just the style. On Ramses Avenue, modern towers stand next to crumbling shells. On one floor, there's a tech startup office. On the next, an apartment with broken windows and furniture salvaged from somewhere else. Young people in suits walk past boys dragging sacks of empty water bottles to sell for pennies. In this city, everyone is a trader of time, energy, survival. Huge shopping malls are rising on the outskirts like modern oases for the middle class. Inside, there is air conditioning, fountains, and shops with brands most people know only from TV ads. Behind the glass is another planet. Just a few streets away, a street market sells the same things, only cheaper, louder, and without receipts. Cairo is a city where modernity and poverty share a wall. In one apartment, there's a 4K TV and a Chinese washing machine. In the next, there's a hole in the roof and a television from Nasser's time. But both families watch the same news and laugh at the same soap operas. In Cairo, luxury means something else. It's not about money, it's about peace. Having an hour of quiet in the day, not hearing horns, not smelling smoke. The rich buy silence, the poor buy survival. On the street, old cars stand next to shiny new electric vehicles that look like they've been driven in from another world. Their owners drink coffee in hotel lobbies, watching through the glass as tuk-tuk drivers argue over 5 Egyptian pounds. No one pretends these are equal worlds, but everyone has learned to live side by side without surprise. In Cairo, every square meter is a battle. For water, for air, for space, even for shade. People build homes on the roofs of other homes, creating entire illegal neighborhoods stacked on top of the old ones. From above, it looks like layers in a cake, one generation on top of another. In this city, everything is recycled. Streets, buildings, appliances, dreams. Nothing is wasted, but nothing is truly new. It's always something from something. A TV from your brother, furniture from a neighbor, a laptop with a repaired screen. Even the concrete smells like the past. And yet, despite the dirt, noise, and heat, Cairo lives on a grand scale, as if its residents know they don't have time for doubt. Every day is an experiment in survival. The water may stop running, the power may cut, the bus may never arrive, but life goes on. Cairo is not a city of comfort. It is a city of stubbornness. In the evening, when the sun sets, the sky turns orange and the city looks like a burning map. From rooftops drift prayers, from streets music and laughter. From above, Cairo seems peaceful. Only down below do you see that peace is just an illusion. Cairo teaches humility before life. It shows that even where nothing seems to work, people know how to fix everything, with wire, with their hands, with whatever they have. Survival here is an art, and the everyday is a kind of heroism. A city of pharaohs and plastic. A city that has forgotten where the line between past and present lies. A city that never really grows old, because it never has time to. To grow old, you need to rest. And Cairo never rests. City of the dead. In theory, a cemetery. In practice, a neighborhood. It lies on the eastern edge of Cairo, between the Makattam Hills and the Old City. From above, it looks like a stone maze. Rows of tombs stretching for miles, with narrow alleys winding between them like corridors. From a distance, you might think it's abandoned. Up close, you see that life here is very much alive. The city of the dead is one of the most extraordinary places on earth. For centuries, Egyptians buried here the people who built Cairo, sultans, scholars, artists, ordinary citizens. But in the 20th century, graves stopped being only a place of rest. They became a refuge for the living. As the city's population exploded and housing failed to keep up, people started moving into mausoleums, at first temporarily, then for good. Today, more than 500,000 people live here. Anyone who comes for the first time is shocked. Tombs once built from marble and carved stone now have doors, curtains, electrical sockets. Many house entire families. On the tomb slabs stand televisions, kettles, medicine boxes, and children's toys. In some grave houses, there are separate bedrooms and kitchens. Gravestones serve as tables. The dead lie beneath, the living sleep above. Children play among the tombs as if it were a park. They kick footballs, run races, hide behind mausoleums. Sometimes they dig in the sand and uncover a piece of an old headstone. For them, it's not sacrilege, it's normal. In the city of the dead, there is no clear line between life and death. Everything has blended. At night, lights flick on, lamps glow inside tomb houses, laughter and conversation spill into the alleys. Someone cooks soup, someone watches a soap opera, someone fixes a radio. Outside, the air smells of tea and dust. People sit in front of their doors, talk, share bread. At night, the cemetery looks like an estate where no one complains about noise regulations. Many residents of the City of the Dead work in central Cairo. They clean offices, repair shoes, sell vegetables. In the morning, they get on buses. In the evening, they come back to the cemetery. They don't feel shame. For them, this is just home. Graves are cool in summer and warm in winter. They have a roof. And in Cairo, a roof is a luxury. Sometimes relatives from other districts come to visit. They sit by the graves, bring food, talk about life. Death is present but tamed. It doesn't frighten. Residents say they feel safer here than in tower blocks because the dead don't steal. The place has its own rules. Every tomb is rented from the owner's family. No one enters without permission. Some mausoleums are divided between several households. One wall belongs to one family, the other to another. Boundaries are informal but respected. The City of the Dead is also a microcosm of religion. Muslims and Christians live side by side, even though it is formally an Islamic cemetery. They sometimes celebrate holidays together, because here everyone is equally poor. Poverty has no denominations. Many tourists try to come, but most turn back after a few minutes. The air is thick with smoke and dust. The alleys are narrow, chaotic. But if you go deeper, you see something astonishing. Normal life in the most abnormal place imaginable. Women washing steps, children learning the alphabet, men praying in the shadow of minarets. Some residents dream of leaving, others don't. For many, this is their world. They were born and raised here. They say the cemetery is calmer than the city center, that no one makes too much noise, that neighbors are kind. In their eyes, you don't see despair. You see fatigue and a quiet resilience. For years, the Egyptian state has promised to relocate City of the Dead residents, to give them apartments in the new administrative capital. To outsiders, this sounds like salvation. To many here, it sounds like losing their world. On the cemetery, they are a community. In the new city, they fear they'll be just numbers in a database. Cairenes in other districts often pretend the City of the Dead doesn't exist. They drive past, stare through the window, but don't really see it. It's a defense mechanism. Cairo is a city that has learned to live with its own shadow. Some people have a view of the Nile. Others have a view of domed tombs. Some have terraces, others have grave roofs. But all belong to the same city. Western commentators talk about poverty. But in the City of the Dead, poverty has the face of dignity. There are no beggars here. There are people who found a way to survive when the world forgot they were there. Sometimes at night, when the moon lights the tombs and the call to prayer drifts across the stone, you can feel something hard to describe. A silence that isn't sad. A peace that exists only where life and death stopped fearing each other a long time ago. The City of the Dead doesn't need metaphors. It is a metaphor of a world where poverty doesn't strip people of their humanity. It just changes their address. A day in the city of the dead starts earlier than in the rest of Cairo. The sun rises over stone domes, and the air doesn't yet smell of burnt fuel. From afar comes the first call to prayer. Up close, the first sounds of life. The creak of metal doors, the hiss of a kettle, a dog barking as it guards a tomb. Everyone wakes with the city, as if they shared one clock. In courtyards that were once alleys between graves, women light small gas burners and cook breakfast, usually baladi bread, fava beans, sometimes eggs. Children sit on low walls, eat in silence, and stare at the sky. Then they grab their backpacks and head to school. Some walk kilometers on foot, others ride buses. When they leave the cemetery, they brush the dust off their shoes and put on a smile. They don't want anyone to know where they come from. Those who stay begin their workday. Men head into the city, construction sites, workshops, markets. Women clean in richer homes, wash clothes, sew. Older people watch the children and look after the tombs. There are no administrators or municipal services here. Each person maintains their own little piece of history. Sometimes they sweep someone else's courtyard too, because everything here is shared, even the dust. At midday, the neighborhood starts to smell, not like a cemetery, but like any district where 100 different meals are cooking at once. Pots lean out of tiny windows, laundry dries on rooftops. Cats weave through the graves looking for scraps. Birds perch on headstones warmed by the sun. Somewhere in the background, a hammer taps as someone repairs a roof. Children come back from school and disappear into the labyrinth of tombs. For them, it's a playground. They play football, hide and seek, chase one another. They shout, laugh, bump into tourists who came to look at exotic poverty. The kids can't understand why anyone would come to watch their lives. For them, it is just normal. The fact that the house stands on a grave isn't strange. It's like living above a shop, except downstairs there isn't a bakery, there's a name carved in stone. In the evening, things slow down. From the mosques come prayers, and smoke from stoves drifts above the domes. People sit in front of their doors. They talk about the weather, prices, their children. Someone brings tea in small glasses, someone else cigarettes. The kids listen to the adults. Dogs lie at their feet. It's their daily ritual, a pocket of quiet after a day of noise. Sometimes at night, true visitors arrive, those who came to pray for their dead. They stand at the graves, whisper prayers, light candles. The residents of the city of the dead dim their lights, close their doors, and sit still. They know that in those moments the cemetery becomes again what it was meant to be, a place of rest. When the mourners leave, life returns. Children fall asleep first. Women tidy after dinner. Men smoke their last cigarette. The night is warm and full of sound. In the distance, you hear the city's traffic, car horns, music from weddings. Sometimes the wind carries the smell of the Nile, sometimes smoke from Manshiat Nasser. Then Cairo and the city of the dead fuse into one. In winter, nights are cold and damp, but tombs hold warmth. In summer, it's the opposite. Stone heats up like an oven. Then people sleep on rooftops, looking up at the stars their grandparents once watched. The city of the dead looks like a pilgrim's camp, quiet, calm, full of light and shadow. Some say you can feel spirits here. The residents laugh. That's not ghosts, that's the wind, they say. They don't believe in fear. How can you be afraid of death if you live with it? People here have their small customs. Some leave fresh flowers on a grave even if they don't know the name carved there. Others place little pots of mint for the smell. Many believe the dead protect them, that as long as they live above them, nothing truly bad will happen. Sometimes weddings take place in the tomb courtyards. Families set up tables and chairs, blast music from speakers, laughter, dancing, food. Around them, cemetery walls, but no one thinks about death. It's a celebration of life. Someone jokes, better to dance among the dead than die of hunger. Everyone laughs. To outsiders, it's shocking. To them, it's natural. In the city of the dead, there is no taboo. Death is not an ending, it's background. A background that has taught people humility and humor. Morning comes and everything starts again. More tea, more work, more dust. Children go to school, women sweep the courtyards, men head into town. Above them, the sun. Below them, the past. Between them, the present they have built for themselves. Life between graves is not a tragedy. It's a routine, a survival ritual that has become a lifestyle. And although it looks like poverty, there is something rare in it, a kind of peace you won't find in any gated compound. The City of the Dead is like a living lesson for the rest of the world. It shows that life will always find a place, even where it shouldn't. As long as someone is brewing tea, laughing, and talking beside a grave, death hasn't won. Cairo is a city of extremes. On one side, the City of the Dead. On the other, the wealth of Zamalek, a neighborhood from another world. A green island in the middle of a dirty urban sea. It sits on an island in the Nile, connected to the rest of Cairo by a few bridges that feel like borders between realities. For its wealthy residents, it's a quiet, elegant enclave. For most of the city, it's a symbol of a world they will never enter. In Zamalek, the streets are wider and the air somehow lighter. Trees that wither from exhaust fumes elsewhere here form shade over cafes and restaurants. Taxis honk less, people speak more softly. The buildings have a Western feel. Balconies, big windows. On the rooftops, swimming pools. On the streets, cars you only see in commercials in the rest of Egypt. Mercedes, Audi, and Chinese EVs gliding along like ghosts. In the cafes sit people who speak English and French. Young, polished, in crisp white shirts and clean shoes, phones always in hand. They talk about studying abroad, working in Dubai, investment funds, new apps. Cairo, for them, is just a point on a larger map. Their real lives stretch between London, Paris, and New York. Zamalek smells of coffee and money. Boutique windows look like tiny slices of Europe. Chanel, Dior, Zara, Starbucks. Western music plays inside. Staff address. Customers like friends. Air conditioning, light, order, everything missing a few kilometers away. In the evening, Zamalek streets glow with warm lamplight. Musicians play in restaurants. Men in linen shirts, women in flowing dresses. They talk calmly and laugh. French wine, Italian cheese, Chinese phones, an Egypt that doesn't smell like Egypt. Here, life flows more slowly. No one rushes. They don't have to. Time is a luxury only some can afford. The waiter brings the bill without hurry. The client doesn't check the price. For Zamalek's residents, inflation and shortages are abstract concepts that happen to others, the ones on the far side of the bridge. Those others come here every day. They clean apartments, wash dishes, drive cars, carry shopping. They arrive at dawn, leave after dark. Sometimes they sleep in basements or by gates because it's too expensive to travel back home. In Zamalek, they are invisible. Their faces are reflected in shopfront glass, but nobody looks at them. Zamalek is like a theater. Everyone knows their role. The wealthy as the audience, the poor as the staff. The set is marble, glass, and steel. The soundtrack is jazz and soft pop. The topics of conversation are investments, holidays, personal growth. Behind the scenes, sweat, labor, and exhaustion of those who keep the show running. By day, Zamalek looks like a dream. By night, like an illusion. When the sun sets, the lights shimmer on the Nile. It's one of the most beautiful sights in Egypt. Bridges full of people strolling, yachts blaring music, lights dancing on the river surface. But a kilometer away, streets are full of dust, children run after garbage trucks, houses stand without windows. Rich Egyptians rarely go there. They know poverty exists but don't really know what it looks like. Their children attend international schools where classes are in English and Egyptian history often stops in antiquity. Modern Egypt, for them, is just a backdrop outside the window. On weekends, they leave the city, to Red Sea resorts, villas in Giza, houses in New Cairo. They come back when Cairo is already asleep, to sip coffee on terraces with a view of the Nile. They look at the river and say they love their country, but their country is an island, not a continent. Zamalek has its own philosophy. Rise above it all. Above the noise, above the poverty, above the dirt. It's an enclave of elegance and denial. To live here, you have to not see the rest of the city. You have to train yourself to look only up. At the apartments, the lights, the sky. And yet, even here, the cracks show. Sometimes on the way to a cafe, you see a child selling tissues. Sometimes at an intersection, a man on crutches begs for money. The wealthy don't stop. They know they can't help everyone, so they help no one. That's how they cope in a world built on inequality. In the evenings, when people in the city of the dead blow out candles and lie down to sleep, in Zamalek the parties begin. Music, laughter, conversation, wine in glasses catching the light. On terraces, young people in white clothing dance. Someone talks about the future, someone about a trip to Paris, someone about a new startup project. In the background, the Nile flows, saying nothing. It has seen it all. Zamalek is not to blame for existing, but its existence shows how deep the gap is between two sides of the same city. On one, luxury. On the other, survival. On one, dreams of modernity. On the other, the struggle for electricity and running water. Zamalek and the city of the dead are separated by maybe 15 minutes in a car. In reality, it's like 1,000 years of civilization. One world lives in the future, the other in the past. One in the cool air of air conditioning, the other in the smoke of burning plastic. And yet, both sides are Cairo. One shows what Egypt wants to be, the other shows what Egypt is. Because when the sun rises over the Nile, the same light falls on both banks, and for a brief moment, the differences seem to vanish. Rich and poor, the living and the dead, they all breathe the same air. Only some of them have filters.